live. It was interrupted, so I'll just start again and go through it because I'll have to delete that video. Sorry for the interruptions and all of that. We got it. We're gonna get it good now. We're gonna get it straight. So again, this video is about Officer Travis Brown. Officer Travis Brown is of the Ferguson Police Department, and he was recently seriously injured after a thugged out ass protester who was really a rioter. He's rioting. He's not even really protesting now. He's a violent offender now. Um, he's been charged with all types of charges, man. Serious bodily injury. He causes Officer Travis Brown, who was a black man, if that matters to anybody. Apparently, all of a sudden now, race doesn't matter to people like this, who's over here rioting for a thug rioting for another thug by the name of Michael Brown. And now you heard Travis Brown. You got the wrong Brown. Everybody's backwards and confused, man. How are you rioting and protesting for criminals because they're black? Because when a white person gets shot by a cop, it's crickets. It's crickets. I can't even show some of these videos, but look up Richard Lee Richards, who was a white man on a wheelchair who got shot in the back by at a Walmart by police officers. And he had a knife, but he was in a wheelchair, and he was going away from them into the store. There's so many things you could have done in that situation, and that guy wasn't posing any type of threat because it's a knife, and he's in a wheelchair. It's not like a gun. It's not any, I mean, you can still throw a knife, but you know, these average fucking losers out here ain't no damn ninjas throwing ninja stars. I'm gonna catch, but still, deadly weapon that's warranted for a response, man, and it could be a deadly response. You can't, like Mike Brown was trying to fight Officer Darren Wilson 10 years ago, last Friday, and it was a 10-year anniversary, so in 2014, it was August of 2014 when all of this happened, when Mike Brown. They're still rioting for Mike Brown 10 years later. And this guy was a criminal. I'm going to show you videos of him going up in the damn convenience store and what led up to him being shot. And I'll show you the interview with Officer Darren Wilson. And just to give you some facts or details on Mike Brown. Mike Brown was... the reason why he was shot is because he was charging the cop and trying to take his gun away. And ballistics, which is a science, shows you that his hands were not up. Hands up, don't shoot was a lie. There are still people holding up signs that say hands up, don't shoot. And they weren't even there when any of this shit happened. The witnesses was like Mike Brown's friends that was lying for him, saying that he had his hands up. There were other witnesses that told you that he was fighting the cop and he charged the cop. There's no way you could get shot in your hand and that same bullet comes and hits you in your shoulder if you got your hands up. If you got your hands out and you're trying to reach, now that might happen. And that's exactly what was going on. Ballistics is a great science it shows you exactly what was going on, the way the bullet entered and the way it exited. Mike Brown, I don't give a fuck about Mike Brown. This Officer Travis Brown, that's the right Brown right there. You got the right Brown guy now. That's the guy that you should be making a big deal about, man. How is this guy hurt, man? This guy seems like such a good person, man. And he's a police officer that joined the force in 2022. That's Travis Brown of Ferguson, Missouri. That's the guy you should be caring about. Why do we care about people like Mike Brown, man? Who made his bed. He's the one he's the one that committed the actions, that took actions that led to him getting shot. I'm not worried about that cat. Cops are here to protect and serve your ass, and they come and they help the protesters. They block the streets for the protesters early in the day. Later on in the day, things got rowdy. All the damn derelicts and delinquents came out and started rioting and shaking a fence at at Ferguson police station. And the police chief, who's a black, most of the cops, like half of the cops in the force are black. The police chief is black. I think in Ferguson, I think 70% of the population is black, like 60 to 70%. They run almost every function of the government, whether it's the Board of Education or the police force. The mayor is black. Everybody up in there is black. You got in St. Louis too. I mean, come on, St. Louis is right down the road. So this is very racial. They always want to make it racial when it has nothing to do with race, but just because it's white on black, all of a sudden it becomes a big deal. But here's a black guy who just nearly killed a black police officer for no reason because he's protesting 10 years later for a thug ass fucking idiot who stole a box of cigars and pushed the damn convenience store guy out of the way, who was like 60 years old. And I think Mike Brown was like 17. But he was a big dude, you know? And you could see him just strong arming the 60-year-old man. What's he gonna do? Bro, I don't give a damn about Mike Brown. I don't understand how people who don't know this guy, the majority of these people don't even know who Mike Brown was, to go and riot for him. I understand peaceful protesting because you have the right to do that if you're not bothering nobody. And you know, I hate when they block streets too. It's like, yo, get the fuck out the streets, man. You have to have that shit pre-planned so they can clear the streets for you. And the cops were working with these protesters. That's what's crazy, is that they were the ones that were protecting them from the traffic and making sure that they were okay to protest down the streets. Because it was the 10th year anniversary of Mike Brown on Friday, August 9th, was it? It was a week ago. What just happened with Travis Brown, Officer Travis Brown. So let's get to the video, man. This is gonna explain it a lot better. I put this on San Miguel TV radio, this video, so I could play it for y'all right now on San Miguel TV live.
Community members gathered in Ferguson to mark 10 years since the death of Michael Brown. Then, just before midnight, the peaceful demonstrations became violent.
Of course.
3 officers were injured Friday after protesters broke down a part of a fence that surrounds the Ferguson Police Department. One of the officers was critically injured. Officer Travis Brown is fighting for his life right now after suffering a head injury. Police say Brown was trying to arrest a protester when he was...
That's Travis Brown right there, man. I'm pissed off about this shit. I'm pissed off. And then you got the Democratic Party. You got a DNC delegate that was involved that got arrested. You're going to see all the faces of the people arrested. You're going to see the actual video where this guy tackles Officer Travis Brown. I forget the damn idiot's name. He was a damn asshole. He had a fucking loudspeaker or whatever. You know, what is it called? A blowhorn or whatever the hell. And they're just inciting violence. Like, Martin Luther King is rolling in his grave right now. He's turning in his grave right now because Martin Luther King has always said that nonviolence is the most potent form of to make progress against oppression and justice. Peaceful. Because now you look like the violent ones. And you're saying the cops are the violent ones. If you're, you know, like this shit's crazy. This shit's crazy, man. Officer Darren Wilson was acquitted. He was found not guilty. Ballistics, science, witnesses, all of that showed that Mike Brown was trying to fight Darren Wilson and take the gun away from him. And his blood was even found, I believe, was in the vehicle because he was fighting with Officer Darren Wilson. Like he had 2 opportunities. Like Darren Wilson didn't shoot him right away. He was trying to see what this cat was gonna do, and once he got too close, he was like, "I don't. This dude's reaching. I don't know if he got a gun," and he was like not scared of Officer Darren Wilson's gun pointed at him. That's Mike Brown, and you can tell his whole attitude is one of these fucking idiots caught up in this dumbass fucking trash culture where you think that you being tough it gives you brownie points, but being smart, intelligent, independent, none of that shit is like cool to these young cats. It'd be the young cats that once they get older, then they start realizing, oh shit, I could, yeah, you fucking idiot. Now you in jail or some shit. This nigga's dead though. Mike Brown is not even in jail. Mike Brown would have been one of them cats that would have ended up in jail or just some nonsense fucking. He looked like a fucking lowlife, man. That's what he was. You went to the store to steal cigars without like, he wasn't even trying to hide it. He straight up grabbed the cigars and walked out like he has all the privilege in the world. You talk about white privilege. This cat, and this was an Indian. Well, black people be doing to Asians is crazy, man. I know black people always cry and complain about what white people do to them, but what y'all do to yourselves and what y'all do to Asians, it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame, man. I mean, I seen it in the hood growing up, man. The Chinese food delivery guy, he caught hell, man. He was terrorized, bro. He would constantly get his bike stolen, food stolen. Who do you think were the main perpetrators of that? You think it was white people doing that? And the reason why I point that out is because black BLM, they're always the ones that are complaining about they're under attack. It's like, why are you gaslighting the world? Here's a black police officer who's actually on the right track. He's being a smart dude. And he's working for the community, man. Doing all types of stuff for the community, laying down his life, literally, man. And you got these dumbass dudes that are protesting, they're rioting, man. 10 years later, after Mike Brown was found, after the hands up, don't shoot was found, that it was all a lie, man. What the fuck is wrong with people out here, yo? This shit really pisses me off. That how the hell have the villains become like the good guys? And it's like you got dumbass white liberals that want a virtue signal, like, oh, I care about you. Just to show that they care about you. They fucking will get behind. You're gonna see these white people, man. Crazy. One of them was trying to fight for the cops to get off of the dude that just tackled the cop. He just almost killed the cop. And here's a white woman trying to help get the cops off of him. White people are doing this. Do you understand what's going on? These are white liberals. They be the worst ones too sometimes. They be the ones that, with all the money funding some of this shit. Crazy, because one of the dudes that was arrested, you can see him in the video. He's part of the Democratic Party, man. He's part of the he's a DNC delegate. He's a DNC alternate delegate. He's a delegate for the Democratic National Convention.
Pushed to the ground.
This is why I don't fuck with Democrats.
The protester has been identified as Elijah Gant. He is now in custody and faces multiple charges.
That's the fucking idiot right there. This is the idiot that attacked Officer Travis Brown and almost killed him. Well, yeah, there's some leftists. Leftists are like far left idiots, man. And you can always tell too. They be having a septum ring. They always got the septum ring. They might have some sleeve tattoos, maybe some type of colored hair. It's like a fucking, uniform and shit for them. It's like, and they always like fight for things that they have no good reasons for why they even fighting for these things. But this shit is gonna go away right here. This shit is gonna go away real quick. They're still talking about January 6th. Till this day. They're talking about January 6th and they indicted so many people. That's fine. But what about this shit right here? What about all the people that were around this fucking shit? Nah, and people you don't even see it like on most left-wing like news stations. It's either the local news or it's Fox News or the New York Post or something like that. And it's like I gotta go there to get my real news because fucking the MSNBC is busy talking about some damn Russia collusion with Trump that never even happened. A bunch of lies all the time. Project 2025. Like this shit's crazy, man. But this right here, it's like just gonna get swept under the rug. You're not gonna hear nobody really talk about this. Yeah, the civil rights of the leaders. The civil rights leaders of the 50s and 60s were liberal. But you got people like Booker T. Washington, who was a Republican, who was one of my favorite Republicans. You got Abraham Lincoln, who was a Republican. You got a lot of Republicans out here that have done good things. One of my favorites is Thomas Sowell. Conservatives are more like laid back. What happened on January 6th was them thinking that the election was stolen and that their liberties are being taken away. They were confused about that. I don't think there's any good evidence to show that. I don't know. I haven't really even looked at. I looked into it a little bit. What they say, well, the election was stolen. I haven't really found any evidence of anything like that. People just vote Democratic, for no reason. They don't even know, and they just hate Trump too. But the civil rights leaders of those times, they weren't pushing for rioting. I don't know what has happened to the left where now they're just rioting over any black man that's shot. I don't, well, sometimes they do make a big deal when it's black on black, like a black cop, because it's the cops. They want to defund. They talked about abolishing the police, then they brought it down to defund the police. And then you got people like Kamala Harris, you got people like what you call it, and I'm pretty liberal myself, so I'm not shitting on liberals. It's just like I think like the left, the Democratic Party, from what I'm seeing, they have gone further left than the Republican Party has gone far right. That's what I'm seeing. You got shit like Antifa. You had Chaz that they set up down in like Seattle or Portland, a no cop zone. Go look up the hashtag ACAB. All cops are bastards or all cops are bad. That shit has millions of hashtags. There's so many people that's following this crazy, like it's like a sickness to me, man. How the hell do you go from how the hell do you protect or have all these emotional feelings for somebody who could care less about you, that will kill you and your kids? Like Rashard Brooks was a fucking criminal who got killed in Atlanta at the Wendy's because he's an idiot who fought a cop and took the cop's taser and shot the taser. I don't give a fuck about Rashard Brooks. And nobody cared about the little girl that died during that crazy week of that rioting where they burned down the Wendy's. They burned down the Wendy's for a criminal in Atlanta. And the little girl got killed, and the noise that they were making for the dude, they didn't do that for the little girl. That's how the Democratic Party is looking to me, because you got Biden, all these like left wing politicians, and it's like they align with the activists. They did it for Jacob Blake. And then you got like the WNBA is woke as fuck. I mean, these are like, I mean, they're so LGBTQ, and for whatever reason, that always comes with some crazy ass ideologies too. I don't know what the hell it is, but they be coming up with some crazy ass ideologies. The people on the left, LGBTQ for sure. It's like such emotional thinking. And Jacob Blake was actually a sexual assaulter who assaulted his baby moms on their own bed next to their own child, who was on the bed too. He has sexually assaulted her, digitally raped her. That cat is a millionaire right now because cops shot him, and everybody has a soft place in their heart for black people. But when white people get killed, like Richard Lee Richards, who got shot in the back, who's a white man in a wheelchair who got shot in the back, there wasn't no noise for them. You can't name white people that get killed by cops. There's more white people that get killed by cops than black people every year, and you can't name one white person that got killed by a cop. You don't know who Peyton Ham is, who was a kid, an underage, a minor, who had a fake gun, who was shot by a police officer he had a fake gun, shot by a police officer, and the police officers didn't get charged. And that story didn't even leave the local news. But Tamir Rice, everybody knows about Tamir Rice, man. Then you got Breonna Taylor, who her boyfriend was a criminal. Her ex-boyfriend was a criminal too, Jamarcus Glover, who rented a car under Breonna Taylor's name and left a dead body in the car. And the cops started investigating Breonna Taylor because there was a dead body found in Breonna Taylor's rental car. So they started going into that, and they had two locations that they raided at the same time. It was a no-knock warrant. They knocked anyways, which was confirmed by the neighbor of Breonna Taylor. Her boyfriend at the time was Kenneth Walker, who shitted on Breonna Taylor as soon as she died, pretty much, and said that she was the one that shot at the cops. He said, that's what Kenneth Walker said about Breonna Taylor. He said she shot at the cops. And he was all crying and shit. He shot at the cops. He hit Officer or Lieutenant Mattingly in the leg and almost killed him. It almost hit a fucking major artery. and almost killed him. And they shot back, and Breonna Taylor was standing. Breonna Taylor was not in her bed. The Democratic Party posted on Facebook that the cops didn't have no warrant. And then I forgot which Democrats was just putting out lies. They constantly put out lies, and then what happens is that it stirs up emotions, and people get angry and upset over what they perceive to be an injustice, which is not. It's just a fucking circumstance that was fucked up, and the cops had a right. They usually have a right when they're presented with some danger. I mean, what you gonna do? Just wait to get killed? Like, cops want to come home safely. Abraham Lincoln was still a liberal. Just because he was Republican doesn't mean he wasn't liberal. Yeah, well, I'm not saying he's not liberal though. It's like you want to pick an argument or something. There's centrists that are Democrats and liberals that are Republicans. Yeah, a centrist can be bipartisan. So like I said, I'm liberal. I'm pro-abortion and I'm pro-LGBTQ marriages. I'm not against those things. Those are liberal ideologies. But when it comes to the social justice bullshit, I call bullshit on the social justice, and that's where I draw the line. That's what these Democrats. It's like there's no thought with these liberals. There's no thought. It's like they call it the liberals a bleeding heart liberal. Have you ever heard that term for a liberal? They call them the bleeding heart liberals because they always want to try to save somebody or help somebody, and they try to act like they care about. Oh, I care about you. I want to do this for you, and they want to damn hook people onto the government to damn marry the government and shit. We're gonna help you. You just got to be part. You know, we're gonna give you housing. We're gonna give you all this free money, and they don't know how to teach a person how to fish. They're just giving out fish. So the people in these democratic cities, like the people that want to say like they're liberals and they care about whatever, well, the cities where there are more liberals are the cities that have more crime and shootings and all types of crazy shit. And there are poorer cities in the United States. For example, West Virginia, I forget the city, the capital there. It's very poor, but you don't see as much crime as you do in Chicago or New York City, which they have more money to go around. There's more money. So that's another thing that liberals say, or people on the left usually say, that poverty causes crime. Poverty, it has no correlation with crime because they say that it's one of the causes. But to say that it causes crime and it's just inevitable is not always the case. Just because somebody's poor doesn't mean they're going to commit crimes. That's why I don't fuck with the Democratic Party. Now, you know, there's things that I don't fuck with Republicans too. So, you know, there's always things to go back and forth. But like they're minor compared to what I see the Democratic Party doing, and how they're making people think that they're some type of victim, so they could think that you're on their side, and then that's the party to vote for because they care about me and my. It's a bunch of bullshit, man. It's a bunch of like virtue signal and emotional appeal.
Protester has been identified as Elijah Gant. He is now in custody and faces multiple charges.
This is the fuck.
Today, we're learning a lot more about Officer Travis Brown's time serving in the St. Louis area. He joined the Ferguson Police Department in January of this year. Hours ago, our Mercedes McKay spoke with the man who hired him when he was with St. Louis County.
Oh, he just became a cop.
Officer Travis Brown worked as an officer for St. Louis County before he joined the Ferguson Police Department. Today, I spoke with former St. Louis County Police Chief Tim Fitch, who hired Brown to wear the St. Louis County badge. Fitch says TJ has a contagious smile and aura that makes him incredibly special.
I'm hoping and praying that he comes out of this and can get back to work because we need people like him.
Yeah, this is Ferguson.
In law enforcement.
Over 24 hours after Officer Travis Brown was seriously injured.
This is another event in Ferguson they're still protesting years later after Mike Brown. It's the 10-year anniversary of Mike Brown's death. It was a week ago, Friday. And protesters came out there to peacefully protest, right? So that was happening throughout the day. Police escorted them and helped block off the streets and block off traffic. And then throughout the night, things got rowdy. And this is why I'm covering this, is because Mike Brown's death was pushed by the left-wing media to be a murder and that he had his hands up. They were talking about this hands up, don't shoot. Then they had to come back and correct it. This is like after everybody was already pissed. After the media had already spread out misinformation and got everybody all pissed, then they went back later. I don't know how much more time later, maybe a year later, and started going back on their claims of how hands up, don't shoot was actually a lie. And by then, people already are going to go with the narrative that, no, it's true. They don't believe the cops. They don't even believe the news. So even if the news goes back and says, oh, yeah, you know, we got it wrong, they're going to be like, oh, they're just lying. That's what people are going to say. That's what they always do, man. It's so weird how it's like they hate this country and they living in this country. It's like you're living in your mama's house and you're all mad and shit. Like, what do you, like, you're not oppressed in this country. Black people in America are the richest black people in the world. There's all types of opportunities that black people all over the world, Africans, West Indians, they come to this country and they actually do better than black Americans. They're kicking their ass when it comes to graduating, home ownership, having their own businesses, IQ level, what do you call it, credit score, child pregnancy rates are lower, graduation rates are higher. There's all types of issues in the black community, and they think that the main issue are police officers. Police officers, I think, contribute to less than 1%, I think it's 0.1% of the deaths in the black community come from police officers. Less than 1% of the black people that are murdered or shot or killed by anybody are cops. Less than 1%. So the majority of the rest are actually their own people. It's like 95% of the black people that get killed are killed by another black person. The white population is 85% of the white people that are killed by a white person. Oh, why is that? What about the other 15%? I wonder who's doing the other 15% of the murders in the white community. There's more murders coming from black on white than there is white on black. And there's 6 times more white people in this country than there are black people. Yet, black people are still murdering white people at a higher rate. And they want to complain about a cop that justifiably killed a dude that was trying to hurt him? Mike Brown trying to hurt Officer Darren Wilson 10 years ago? This is what started this chaotic vibe and energy and spirit that you see in this country where now, yo, they're rioting over every little thing now for no reason. They got something called teen takeover. People just mad. And the left-wing media is not helping. They're fueling the fire and they're making people angry and making people think with their misinformation that, oh, Mike Brown was unjustly killed. No, he wasn't. Mike Brown was justified, man. Ballistics, science shows you that. He was fighting the officer. He didn't have his hands up. Hands up, don't shoot has been debunked. Fuck Mike Brown. I'm telling you just like that. Fuck Mike Brown. Who cares about Mike Brown? Who the fuck is Mike Brown, man? He hasn't done anything. He was a low-life fucking loser, man, that wanted to fight a cop who had a gun. What do you think is going to happen? You try to take a gun away from the cop? Now this becomes a risky situation. It's either his life or your life. And guess what? He made the right decision. I have no tears for Mike Brown. Fuck Mike Brown. I can't believe people... It's like a virtue signal. You want to show that you care about black people. Oh, any black person? No, man. I care about good people. Not just people because of their race or because I feel sorry. It's like a pity party going on. Yeah, he assaulted the store clerk when he took the cigars, man. It was like a 60-year-old Indian man that was like 5'3", and Mike Brown was like 6 feet tall and like $190. He looked bigger than me for sure. I'm skinny as shit, and I could tell he was a big dude. He looked like a football player. And the Indian guy, what was he gonna do, man? Poor little guy. But this is what, like, you still got people like Cori Bush, who actually got voted out, and she was up in Congress in St. Louis, who was egging this shit on, and she's a part of the squad, and she's like one of these progressives, so-called progressives, which I used to be a progressive Democrat I used to be listening to David Packman all the time and Cal Kalinske and the Rational National I used to listen to. These Canadian, Canadian progressives. And these people are just so focused on things that I mean, some of the things I agree and some of the things are important, but I think the ideologies is warped, man. There's all types of like socialist policies that they want to put in, as if we don't already have enough socialist social programs. They want to do more. They want to socialize the education system. They want to socialize medicine. I don't know how I feel about all of that. When it comes to like healthcare, I have inside, like I have a soft spot for that because I work in the healthcare and so does my wife. And I understand when you don't have insurance and you're sick, like that's a problem, man. But there's other opportunities out there for you to get insurance in this country if you don't have a job. But let's say you have a job and then you have insurance through that job and then you lose that job. Now you lose your insurance too. And I think that there should be something done. And there is like Cobra, that you get after that stuff don't cover nothing. It's like 10%. You got to pay out of pocket for the most part. So I like some of the things. It's like the heart is in the right place, but I think that it would really destroy the foundation of this country that was built off capitalism. And capitalism has its downfalls. It has nothing's perfect. There's no perfect system, but the way that our society functions, our economy, is capitalistic with a little with sprinkles of socialism, because there's social security, there's welfare, there's housing opportunity, there's all types of stuff, man, in this country. So if you could just go out there and there's nobody stopping you from becoming successful, but it's like the Democratic Party wants to make you think that you can't be successful because you got all types of pitfalls on every angle, every side, and the people are trying to stop you, cops, the white man, and all this stuff, like far right wing, like that shit rarely happens where it's a far right guy that is so far right and he wants to kill black people. That happens like once every like 4 years or something like that. And that's not good, but when you consider the population, and I'm talking about like big shootings, because I'm sure there's like little incidents between whatever that, I mean, it happens a lot. But like you got Peyton Grender up in Buffalo. He shot up a Tops supermarket because he was targeting black people. And then maybe like a year later or 2 years later, there's the dude in Jacksonville. Remember that fucking cat? He shot up the dollar store and he specifically was trying to get black people. So the shit is still there. But then you have the other way around where there's black people targeting white people. There's black people targeting Asians. And that doesn't get blown up as much as when it's happening to black people. They try to do that with Asians. They try to blow it up. But then when it's a black person that does something with attacking Asians, it's like they don't know who to protect now. It's like, hold on, we got to... And they go with the blacks. They got to protect the blacks. The blacks have a stronger race card, man. Asians be fighting for blacks, man. There's organizations where Asians created it for black people. There are Asian organizations that fight for black people's rights. I don't know of any black organization that was created to fight for Asian people's rights. Maybe it's out there. But at the same time, you got that. And then the amount of black people that attack Asians compared to Asians attacking black, Asians hardly ever attack black people. I'm constantly looking at statistics, crime statistics, body cam videos, police dash cam videos. I'm constantly looking at this stuff. News reports all over the country, local news. I like to watch local news rather than the national news. I don't like the national news, like, like NBC, whatever. The local news, they do better work. They're not so biased. They don't have so much of a damn machine behind them, But yeah, I support affordable health care, housing, education, but not communism. Some people do. Yeah, me either, man. That communism shit is too much. I mean, look at Venezuela, man, and now we're suffering with the migrant crisis. And most of the migrants that's coming out here is from Venezuela, and that's because Hugo Chavez, who's now dead, But he was living in. Remember, he was living in our lifetime during the time of well, President Bush was still in office. He was in there, and they put up all types of statues for him. They're they're toppling those statues over now. They've been doing that over the last few months. They're tired of this shit. It's like the country is destroyed because of this communist socialist ideology. And every time you present that to socialist Democrats or democratic socialists, they'll be like, "Oh, it's because it wasn't done right." They always say it was never done right, and it's like, because you can't do it right. Not when you have a complete economy just based off of some socialistic ideas created by Karl Marx, pretty much. That's Marxism. But that's what BLM preaches to be experts in, or what do they call it? They're trained Marxists. Like, that's crazy. Who are they trained by? I think is that shit to me is problematic, man. I'm seeing cities burn down for people that kind of don't deserve all this recognition like that. Like, even in the cases where I think the officer was wrong, like Derek Chauvin with George Floyd, I still look at everything that George Floyd was doing, and I'm like, he put himself in a bad position. Plus, the coroner said that his the heart disease that he had contributed to his death. Because he died pretty easy. Like, the cop didn't have his knee on his neck like they be saying. They be lying constantly, man. He had it on his back, and the dude was he took so many drugs. I think what they did was swallow a bunch of drugs when they saw the cops coming. They refused to give back the goddamn cigarettes they bought with a counterfeit money. And all that shit leads up to what Derek Chauvin did, and Derek Chauvin is still to blame, but there's some blame to go around. And I don't think that dude deserves statues and a whole plaza or center like George Floyd. Like, for real, that was really the point in 2020 when I was like, yo, motherfuckers are insane. There's a problem going on with society, and Derek Chauvin was the perfect fucking pinata. He was a perfect enemy. He's a white man, and he showed no real care for George Floyd. So he's definitely should have been charged. I'm not even arguing that. Because he was unarmed, and he was just not complying with getting in the vehicle because he was all fucked up on drugs, man. That dude was jacked up on drugs. And that's why he died so easily. They said that he had enough fentanyl in him that he could have died off of that. But that's a whole nother story. The main one that I'm talking about right now is Mike Brown, and then what recently happened to Officer Travis Brown because of Mike Brown. Mike Brown is not worthy of any type of praise at all, man, or no remembrance. People are remembering Mike Brown, and they're toppling statues of George Jefferson, of what do you call it? Damn, I can't even think of this cat's name. Jefferson. You know what I'm talking about. Founding fathers, George Washington, just toppling all their statues over. But they're erecting statues of George Floyd, who has done adult porn. Like, why do we have a statue? Do we need a statue of George Floyd? I could go without it. It's okay. People can't be happy in life, man. I mean, look at me, bro. I'm pissed off by this shit. It's like the more stuff I research, the more I'm like, here we go again. And I think the main thing that ticks me off is this right here. This topic right here is like my favorite topic, man. It's just because it shows me people's mind state, how the evidence is clear and people have a completely different understanding. That blows my mind every time I see something like that. It's like how Hebrew Israelites take the Bible and interpret it. We all have the information in front of us. Hebrew Israelites take a scripture that's somebody else would interpret a different way. They interpret it one way. And it's like, yeah, all got the same information. How are we coming to all these different conclusions? With the Bible, it's understandable because it's interpretation. But we're talking about where we have videos, we got ballistics, we got science, we got witnesses. We have all this evidence to show, and the videos that show clearly, like with Sonia Massey. Clearly, she was throwing the pot of boiling water, and the cop now has the legal right to shoot her. Regardless of all the other stuff that we want to say about the cop, because I don't care about Sean Grayson either. He wasn't a good cop. And he she didn't have to throw that pot of boiling water, but he didn't have to pull out his gun so fast. Like, that was crazy. I think that he thought that that would scare her and that everything would calm down. But she wasn't in her right mind. Clearly, she wasn't in her right mind. And she said, okay, okay. That's another one we got to do. I got to do that. But these, like, all these, every time I talk about these stories, YouTube, like, kind of, I don't know, man. They mess with my shit, man. They restrict it. Bro, like, my Sonia Massey video, I took a minute to make that thing. And then once I finally put it out, they age restricted it. They damn cut the ads out. Now I can't get no ads. It's ad suitability. It's like not suitable for ads. Like, what the hell? But it is what it is, man. It's just like this topic. I see people constantly looking for the next George Floyd. They're constantly looking for the next Philando Castile, the next Rashard Brooks or Jacob Blake or Freddie Gray, and all these cats, man. I'm like, I don't see this wicked ass corruption like that. There's corrupt cops, man, but the way that they're trying to make it seem is like all cops are evil, even black cops now. So now the Black Lives Matter ideology becomes null and void because you don't care about black people when they're cops or when they don't agree with you, which is crazy. But I know the 50 to 90s black civil rights leaders supported Asians. Nowadays, I rarely see it. I support affordable health. Yeah, we read that already. Simply put, I think people can't be happy in life. It's a paradox. Yeah, Philando Castile was definitely the one that stands out to me as what the hell? How the hell did you just shoot this cat? But I think when you review the video, and I'm not saying that he I think the cop was way too quick to pull that trigger because I didn't see Philando Castile as a threat. I mean, but I think once the cop heard there's a gun in the car, and then when he started reaching for his ID, the cop started getting all scared. And because the cop can say, oh, I don't know what he was reaching for, the cop can get off. Sadly, that's how qualified immunity works. And I'll revisit those laws too. And if anybody wants to talk about that, maybe one day I'll do something on that, because there has to be something that changes that. But it's like, what can you do? You got to give somebody the benefit of the doubt in the situation. You're going to give the criminal the benefit of the doubt or the cop. So they give the cops the benefit of the doubt. So that's why the officer in Philando Castile's case didn't get charged. But I think that could have been an easy charge. But I see why they didn't charge him. I see why legally. And I hate to say it because I think that cop, I hope he got fired, man. That cop does not need to be carrying any gun or nothing. He does not need to be a cop. I don't even know that guy's name. Philando Castile was one of the innocent ones. Yeah, I'll say that, man. That's a sad story. That one I definitely broke out and cried for that one. That was fucked up. Because his girl was in the car and his child was in the car. So that was a bad story. Philando just made a genuine mistake. Yeah, man. Like, Philando, I wouldn't put... The only reason why I mentioned him is because people are constantly looking for that next one. So I'm not saying that he was... He wasn't anything like these other people I named, actually. Philando Castile was pretty clean. Yeah, you can't say nothing about Philando Castile except that he kind of just made one little genuine mistake. And it wasn't even, I don't even think, like, I don't know, man. That shit's fucked up. I don't like that story. That's not a good story. And then the one where the cop shoots a dude in the back in North Carolina. And it was a Dominican guy that recorded it. It was a Dominican barber. And he recorded it behind a gate. And the cop didn't even know anybody was looking. And the cop shot this black dude in the back who had a gun. But he had dropped the gun. And I don't know if the cop noticed it, but he dropped, the gun was on the floor. And he tried to kick the gun closer to the dude. I don't remember. Walter Scott. Yeah, Walter Scott. I think Walter Scott had a gun. But still, he was running away from the cops. And at any time, you can turn around and shoot. That doesn't take more than a second. But the gun was already on the floor, far away from the body. and he tried to get the body close to the gun. That cop, if it wasn't for that video, that cop could have probably got off because he didn't have the body camera on. That was like 2016. So body cams became a real big thing, like after, because Philando Castile was on camera, body cam. But I think it was because of Mike Brown and all this stuff. So it's like some good came out of this stuff because we gotta hold cops to a higher standard, man. Like, I don't mean to compare black on, but like there's civilians that shoot civilians. When it's a cop that shoots a civilian, an unarmed civilian that's innocent, that's definitely a way bigger deal. It's like it just does something where it's like, nah, man, now you're taking advantage of your position, and that's not good. And we gotta watch that because that's too much order, right? There's chaos, which is represented by people rioting and all of that crime, and then there's order, which is represented by the cops. But if there's too much order now, that could be that could lead to corruption, So you got to watch that. And people always say, who polices the police? And yeah, man, it's I mean, you have a whole system there that evaluates police officers' actions, but so I think that there might be a conflict of interest many times there when it's the department, the actual police department, evaluating their own officers' actions, and there might be some conflict of interest there. So nothing's perfect, man. It's just like this is the system. We got to try to work the best way we can. There's a lot of guns in this country. That's a big problem too. That leads to a lot of the murders that you see in this country. That doesn't happen in other countries. We killing there's so many murders. Well, no, let me not say that. Mexico's bad. Mexico's very bad. But yeah, Walter Scott, man. Walter Scott. Freddie Gray seemed like a maniac, and that also could that I don't think the cops meant to kill him. I believe that they had nothing to do with like directly intentionally why he died. I think that they didn't tie him up or they didn't chain him or confine him safely in the back of the police van. I think he was just loose back there with his hand behind his back. And if you're driving a little reckless or whatever, I don't know if that was the case because I think the cops were saying that it sounded like he was beating his head or something. So we don't know what happened with Freddie Gray. We know it wasn't the cops that beat him up. That's what they wanted to say, but it wasn't. He died in the back of that van with nobody there. I don't think there was even another person there with him. But yeah, like Rashard Brooks in Atlanta, man, F that guy, man. That guy was an idiot, man. And I mean, I hate to sound so emotional or emotionless about certain situations because people are like, oh well, it's still somebody that died. It's still sad, and it's like it's not always sad when somebody dies. Like some people don't care about their lives, and I don't feel sorry for them when they make decisions that puts their own lives in danger. I don't feel sorry for them. But let's go back because I haven't really gone through this. But this is about Officer Travis Brown, man. Rest in peace, Officer Travis Brown. Sad story.
County before he joined the Ferguson Police Department.
That's him right there.
Today I spoke with former St. Louis County Police Chief Tim Fitch, who hired Brown to wear the St. Louis County badge. Fitch says TJ has a contagious smile and aura that makes him incredibly special.
I'm hoping and praying that he comes out of this and can get back to work because we need people like him in our community serving in law enforcement.
Over 24 hours after Officer Travis Brown was seriously injured, his former boss, Tim Fitch, shedding a light on the stand-up man he is.
Everybody loves him.
You know the officer, you've met the officer, and he has a contagious smile. You're just like, how can this happen?
5 on Your Side caught that contagious smile in action when Officer Brown helped celebrate a little boy with autism's birthday in North St. Louis.
Man.
Now, 5 months later, he's fighting for
What a
his
good
life,
guy. We need people
as
like
many
him.
like Fitch try to wrap their heads around what took place Friday night.
This went on all day long with no issues. I mean, police were there to help.
We allowed the protesters to block our streets out here. Not only did we
This is the
allow
police chief. He's
protesters to block
pissed,
our
man.
street, we even provided a car, on the north end and on the south end, so the protesters couldn't get hit by vehicles. Throughout the night, the protesters were violently shaking our fence at this police station. Mm-hmm. Again, we did not even react. We stayed here, let them shake the fence.
They letting them do
that
shit.
happened several times.
That ain't gonna happen no more, man.
Up until the point that they broke
You know what's crazy about that though? Think about what they're doing. They're causing the cops to become more to put a tighter grip on the community now. So this is not a good end result. This is not the result that you want. It's actually making it worse because now they're not playing with y'all now. So as long as you peacefully protest, then the cops will work with you. But once you start hurting, the people that are protecting you, the cops, what do you think that's going to what do you think is going to start happening in the community? You're breaking down and completely destroying the fabric of a community by having no good relationship between the police and the community. It's supposed to be a good relationship, but these agitators, these rioters are making the situation completely worse for a criminal. Mike Brown was a criminal that does not deserve any type of remembrance, man. That guy did nothing for society except fight an officer, try to take the officer's gun, and then he got killed. His hands were so close to the officer's gun that it went through his hand, it hit him in the shoulder. That's how close he was. Ballistics showed you that about Mike Brown. That was 10 years ago, August of 2014. 10 years ago that happened. That's when things started really vamping up and people started looking at everything police were doing, man. And anything that they did, whether it was justified or not, doesn't matter. Then lies would spread, constantly talks of racism when there's no evidence of racism. There's like never any evidence of racism. I'm trying to think which one of these shootings had to do with racism. We don't know that. There could have been. But I don't think everybody's so racist like how I don't know. It's like Hebrew Israelites think like that. And then you got BLM people that think the same way. As if it's true. That's what's crazy is that if there was some truth to this, that there's a crazy racist problem amongst police in the United States, then I would be like, okay, but it's not. It's very like mild stuff. They might catch a recording of a police officer saying something that's not too, racially sensitive. That happened in not too long ago in a police station in California. There was like a few police officers. It wasn't the whole police department, but people look at that and then they say, oh, they overgeneralize, and now it's like the whole police, all police departments are now stained. And that's called overgeneralization, man, and stereotyping. And it's like, you don't have a good understanding of all the police departments and all the police officers collectively in this country, but you get a little bit from a small sample what you think you know about police or what you saw and your misconceptions and misinformation that's being spread. Like, I don't know what the hell the media is doing. And sometimes the own mayors of cities won't even back up the police department. The mayors will fucking throw their own police officers under the bus. Like what was done in Atlanta with Rashard Brooks. Like, the officers that shot Rashard Brooks in Atlanta was justified. The officers that shot Mike Brown was justified. The officers that shot Breonna Taylor were justified in shooting but they didn't know where the bullets were coming from. They didn't know who was shooting. They just saw a shadow in the hallway, and it was actually two shadows. They didn't know who had the gun. They shot in that direction, and they're actually justified in that. But Breonna Taylor wasn't the shooter, so that's a sad situation. But, the cops can't be charged because they weren't trying to murder. They were defending themselves. So all of that needs to be looked at and understood so people don't think that they're just doing injustice because of race and all this stuff. And it's all, and now people just get mad. They take to the streets. And what do you think is going to happen, man? If this keeps happening, and if it happens in a major level like it did in Minnesota after George Floyd, the National Guard would have to be called in, and there's going to be a curfew happening in your... Why would you want that for your community? When you riot in a certain neighborhood, the property value is going to go down also in that neighborhood. Because you have all these crimes going on, the property value goes down. Now you got more poverty. So crime causes poverty. Poverty can cause crime in certain situations. It's not necessarily going to happen just because you're poor. You're just going to commit crimes. That's not what happens. But Crime definitely causes poverty in so many different ways, and people don't really talk about that. But all this rioting, man, it shit is not good, man. But yeah, hell, cops will protect protesters with armed security. Yeah, man. You know, that's your right, man. That's a great thing about this country is that you can peacefully protest. It was so necessary. Look, that was necessary during the civil rights era. I actually wouldn't be so mad at some of these rioters if it was the civil rights era. I wouldn't be like so opposed to it. I wouldn't be doing it, and I wouldn't be. I mean, I would be opposed to it, but I would kind of like understand it because it's like it's the fucking 50s and 60s. It was not good. It was necessary for uprising was necessary. But these people is like they want to be modern day Malcolm X. They want to be like a modern like damn the king of wokeness, Colin Kaepernick, man. He wants to be like a modern day Malcolm X. Like, you corny as hell, man. You missed the bus. Things have gotten a lot better since the 60s. A whole lot better. Is it no racism in this country? No, obviously that's still out there. That's a part of humanity, like racism. People just want to go for their team and shit. Tribalism, it's like that's like human nature in a way, like just to be tribal. And it's like you gotta tweak those illogical thoughts, those illogical ways of thinking where we generalize and stereotype, because it's very easy to do. Like somebody, Hebrew Israelite, was telling me today that calling me a caveman, a white man, and that I enslaved. She's saying I enslaved her people. She said I enslaved her people, and I'm like, I enslaved your people? Like, that's how you're gonna interpret that? Like, how dishonest. And that's how their minds work. And it's very similar to what they're doing with cops, like that ACAB hashtag. All cops are bastards. It's like, what are you, crazy? You can't never generalize like that. Some stereotypes are true to a certain extent, but it's like you can never say all. Nobody ever says that. I don't think so, except for Hebrew Israelites and people that hate cops. But DTX speaks. I appreciate you talking, man. I know I haven't gotten much to the video, but that's fine, man. You're right on topic. So I'm just gonna read out what you're saying. DTX speaks says the original Black Panthers were protected by the cops, and even the Proud Boys, regardless what you think of them, have had police protection. Both groups weren't violent when the cops protected them. Yeah, Black Panthers actually what's the proper word? They entered, I guess. I don't want to say they sacked or they riot, because they didn't riot, but they pretty much took over the Capitol building in Seattle, Washington. Seattle, Washington? I'm thinking Cali, somewhere in Cali. But I might have been Seattle. I think it was Seattle, Washington. They were armed. Black Panthers were armed with weapons. They were fighting for their rights to carry weapons. So it was like, that was a justified cause. And nobody got killed. Nobody got shot. But they actually did it peacefully. They had guns with them. But that was their legal right. That was where they were protesting. And they got arrested. They ended up getting arrested and all of that. And then eventually they were given the right. Like they were trying to stop black people from carrying weapons, from having the right to bear arms, which is constitutional right. So like there's things that are like, if this was the 60s, man, I wouldn't be so like, against and opposed to this. But it's like these people are like spoiled brats crying about not getting their way, when it's like, bro, you got it out here, man. There's so many opportunities. It's not even funny, man. I always say it. Goldman Sachs is still doing that $10 billion for the next 10 years, man. For black women that have LLCs, you could get a loan at a very low interest rate, like a 2% interest rate, regardless of your credit, to start a business because you're a black woman. There's opportunities, man. Don't get me started. Are there gonna be some people that might want to hold you back, or you might get some closed doors in your face? Yeah, but there's always an opportunity. There's always gonna be an open door. You keep looking. This is not like we're living in a concentration camp. That's how they make it seem. It's like, and I can understand why Hebrew Israelites do this. because they need to push the narrative that they're oppressed, so that way that God, can save them from oppression. And it's like there's black people in this country that are chilling, man, that own all types of businesses. You got Tyler Perry, man. He opened up a huge studio in Atlanta. You got so many businesses and so many people in power. You got a mayor of Dalton, Illinois, named Tiffany Haynard, who has all the power that a mayor has, and she's using that power to be corrupt. And so much for that DEI, diversity. It's like, they want to push that diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it's like, well, don't we want the best people for the job? If you're just going to hire somebody because of their race, gender, or sexual orientation, you're not going to get the best people. That's not the standard that we want. What the hell happened in this country, But that's the push to try to balance out and even out the opportunities for all people. But it's like, in the midst of that, they're causing some type of I guess it's shortcomings because of the fact that because they want to help out somebody that's probably not as qualified as an Asian or a white person. They might want to hire a black person or a Hispanic person because they're not getting as much up. I mean, they get that's the thing, is the opportunity is there for everybody, but because I guess we don't take advantage of it as much as blacks and Hispanics. Like, we don't take advantage of all this opportunity, like affirmative action. It was found that more white women benefited from affirmative action than black people. More white women. There are more white women in this country than black people, men and women, black men and women all together. There's like 35% of this country is white women, I think, something like that, like 30 to 35%. And then the black population is like 14% right now, I think. So that's why there was more of them benefiting, because there's just more of them. But still, you see like Africans that come to this country, they come for blacks that come to this country from anywhere else, and they take advantage of the opportunities of affirmative action more than black Americans are doing. And we don't be having good credit scores either. That could be the reason for why the home ownership in the black and Hispanic community is still like at 45%. When Asians are like at 70%, man. 70% of Asians own homes, own property, or a business or a property, a home. I think that's homes, not property, or I mean not business. And I think that's some of that. I don't think that's because of somebody else's fault. I think the majority of that is our fault. I would say that the majority of the fault goes to us, because we spend a lot of money on unnecessary things and things that are not assets. We spend a lot of money on liabilities, cars and sneakers and alcohol and all types of shit like that. That's what blacks and Hispanics be doing. We don't. I don't know. I don't know what it is, man. This is a culture. I'm not gonna say it's genetic, because that's a whole nother thing. That's genetics doesn't deal with intelligence or stability, or anything like that. Genetics deals with more physical stuff. But there's cultural differences, and I think that's the main problem. Like the culture, what's going on in Mexico too. Like Mexico has a lot of murders, man. Tijuana, is it Tijuana, Mexico? I forget the one that's really bad. Chihuahua, Mexico. I forget. There's some badass Mexicans out there that is a damn cartel culture. It's a drug culture, gang culture, and all that. And you see the same shit in the hood, man. And it's like you can't even reason with these people. You can't even talk to them. They just hate cops. And then when they confronted by cops, it always blows up because of their reaction. And then when the cops react to their reaction, I see more people getting mad at the cops than the actual citizens. And we need to take some accountabilities for our actions too. I understand the cops. We definitely need accountability from the police officers, because if not, it could get very corrupt real quick. So I guess that's the good that's coming from all this hype. But at the same time, it's like it's also causing people to feel like they're they're just gonna be killed if they step out of their house and the cops, stops them or something. So you said Goldman Sachs. Oh yeah, spelling. It's SACHS, by the way. It's like Sachs. I don't know where that's from. It's got to be Jewish or something. Goldman Sachs, great to invest in, man. Goldman Sachs, BlackRock. Yeah, but Goldman Sachs, man, they got so many opportunities right now. I mean, not Goldman Sachs, but there's so many opportunities for blacks, Hispanics, minorities. They're out there, man. There's requirements to have a certain amount of blacks and Hispanics in certain universities, and it's like those requirements now lead to people that come into these universities that are not even really prepared, and then we're being set up for failure sometimes because there's a quota that needs to be met so that they don't look like they're racist, but I think we're fucking up as a people too, man. And I don't want to blame the history, the past, or this and that. I think that we're alive right now, and if you're alive, man, you got the opportunity to make change, and there's many ways to do that, man. Crying about the past. Oh yeah, okay, damn, I must have hit it. Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate you here, brother. I know you've been on my comment section for years, man. Good stuff. This country honestly needs to worry about clearing its debt instead of worrying about these small second. Yeah, man. But what they're spending on immigration, Chicago and New York, all these sanctuary cities, is bad. That's another bad thing too. They're doing the same thing in the UK with the Muslim migrants, the Syrian migrants, rather, and Iraqi migrants. It's mostly Syrian migrants that are coming because Syria is going through a lot of crazy shit. Latinos and Asians are a funny case. We're allies and brothers one day, and then the next day we supposedly support white supremacy, when in reality we're focused on ourselves. Yeah, man, that's a fact. That's a great comment. Yeah, we're in Ukraine. We're worried about Ukraine spending money over there, and I wonder what Trump is gonna do with Ukraine if he's elected, because he doesn't seem to be wanting to back off from that. Um, you know, there's all types of issues going on. There's issues going on right now with in Taiwan. Taiwan is like the number one producer of these high tech chips that are being created right now, and they're being put in everything, your phones, all types. They're like the number one producers, and China is trying to commandeer, get in there in this in the politics and the government, and try to actually run a monopoly on these chips. They know that it's worth a lot. So there's a lot of money being spent by America, by the U.S. to protect Taiwan from from the Chinese government taking over their production, the production of the chips. That's a whole nother issue, man. That I've been learning about that. That's crazy. Do I sound good? Is everything coming through good? Yeah, and then we got what's going on in Israel, Palestine, which that's a whole nother story. I'm not even gonna get into that right now, man. But yeah, what's happening with the hatred against the police officers? I don't like this shit, man. I think that could be a recipe for a lot of disaster in this country if we don't uh, wise up, man. We need to wise up. If this country wasn't in so much debt, if DTX in the comment section says, if this country wasn't in so much debt, not only would these issues regarding healthcare and education not be present, but we probably would have been going to space more, if that's something you care about. Oh yeah, yeah, that's why I like Elon Musk, man. Even though he's a little crazy. But most geniuses are a little crazy, man. He's a genius. And he deserves everything that's coming to him, I think, man. He put in a lot of time, and that guy works like 80 hours a week, man. And he's just doing so much, man. And he helped me get a lot of money through Dogecoin when I was investing in Dogecoin. He kept blowing that thing up, man. I made $9,000 off. I made $9,800 off of Dogecoin, man. And cashed out, baby. I had to pay fat taxes on that, but that was all right. I paid a good amount of tax on that, but it was all right. If this country wasn't in this much debt, not only would these issues regarding healthcare and education not be present, but we probably would have been going to space more, if that's something you care about. Yeah. I mean, space exploration is definitely important. I think the United States fell off over the last 40 years, and they're just not spending as much money as they used to on that because it's a lot of money. And I think people are just like, there's bigger issues. But yeah, man, it's so much that we could talk about, but this is what I'm gonna, go back to this right here, man. This is the police chief of Ferguson, Missouri, the police chief. I forget his name. But he's pissed off, man. These cops ain't having it, man. They're not gonna start. They're just gonna get even more upset with the citizens. It's like, I hope these cops can keep it together, man, and not take it out on just random citizens. But it's like the hatred is gonna go back and forth, man. That's why I don't like this shit, because it's like once you start showing hatred to the cops, you got to get a really good cop to not, abuse his power and shit. You don't piss him off. It's like you piss off a cop, now they got the power to damn give you a ticket or for whatever, or arrest you, and they could come up with a charge if you're being disorderly conduct. I've seen that. You know how many times I've seen people being disorderly in front of police and they don't arrest them. They don't even give them any ticket or nothing. But once you're not compliant and you're obstructing, that happens a lot. People get arrested for obstructing, and it's like, why am I getting arrested? Like, you're obstructing. The cops are trying to deal with a situation, and you're getting in the middle. You're fucking around. That happens so much, man. Or a simple ticket or a citation turns into a damn arrest. I see that a lot. That's why when people complain, oh, man, they're always locking up black people. Are you watching the police body cams, how they act with police? I see it with blacks, with the Hispanics and whites. But I don't see it as much. Blacks and Hispanics are the number one. They're the worst when it comes to dealing with police. But I think it's worse in the black community. And, that's a song in the black community, in hip hop culture, NWA, right? Fuck the police. It's like they're just the enemy, and it's like the only reason why people in the hood think police are the enemies is there's some people in the hood that's doing crimes. That's why. And the cops are the natural enemy. And man, it is what it is, as they say. Back to the video though, man. Rest in peace to Officer. Not rest in peace, but Officer Travis Brown, man. I just fast recovery, speedy recovery for Officer Travis Brown.
It was at that time I sent out an arrest team to make an arrest for destruction of property. My team got out there and was assaulted by a number of the protesters that were out there on the scene. As a result, one of my police officers suffered a severe brain injury.
You hear him cracking?
He is at an area hospital
He's
right
sad
now,
about that.
fighting for his life. This police department, this Ferguson Police Department, since 2014, has been a punching bag for this community.
Yeah.
The police department back in 2014, we don't even have them officers here anymore. So what are you protesting? These officers not even here no more. Everything that the activist community has advocated for, as far as body-worn cameras, implicit bias training, crisis intervention training, all this stuff, we have done all of this. What are we protesting? What is it? We even changed the uniforms at this police department because people said that the old uniforms trigger people.
He said people said that the old uniforms Triggered people. DTX Speaks says, I've seen this thing online where people are saying, always film the police. Like, why get yourself arrested or possibly shot for vigilantism over something you don't know about? Yeah, just random people just pulling up. You're gonna see that actually. You're gonna see something like that, where it was a woman trying to stop the dude from getting arrested that almost killed Officer Travis Brown. It's crazy how his name is Travis Brown, and they were doing this for Mike Brown. You know, I mean, it's just a coincidence. Very popular last name, like Sanchez.
What are we doing? 10 years later, I
What are
got
we
an
doing?
officer fighting for his life. It's enough, and I'm done with it. We're not doing it here in Ferguson. Our community is united behind us. Our community is fed
They're
up.
not having
We want to
this,
heal.
man.
Our community want to heal.
Yes.
We want people to peacefully protest, but we damn sure ain't gonna allow you to destroy this city, and we ain't gonna allow you to hurt none of these police officers. We are united here in this city.
I love
We're
this
done
guy.
with it. We're not doing it anymore. A serious head injury. I'm not gonna give out his medical. He's suffering through a serious head injury. The other point I want to make too is that this police department in 2014 had 3 African American police officers. We have over 50% African American police officers, 23% female representation on this police department.
They
Like
changed
I
it all
mentioned before, maybe 4 officers from 2014 remain here at the Ferguson Police Department. This is a brand new
Wow.
police department. I don't know why the officers here, who wasn't even here in 2014,
because they don't care about the individuals of that are wearing the uniform. They see you wearing the uniform and they just group you in with everybody else. So the most evil police officer you could think about, you're guilty by association. When you don't even know that it'd be a whole different city, and you're just guilty by association. You're guilty by occupation. This is their jobs, and they're making it seem like everybody that has this job is evil. It's a job, man. Everybody that has a job in any profession, in any industry, cannot possibly be all evil, man. Unless it's like a fucking murderer is something, murder for hire. Other than, like, I mean, that's not a real, like, talking about police officers, man. You're guilty by occupation. Like, come on, man.
have to continue to suffer. I don't know why the officers here, who wasn't even here in 2014, have to continue to suffer through this. It doesn't make any sense. This young officer, Travis Brown, got into his job.
Yeah, so this is what's happening too, right here. Groupthink. This is why groups of people are rushing to conclusions, because groupthink is opting to conform with the consensus view. I love this definition. Opting to conform with the consensus view rather than engage in critical thinking. Ooh, I love critical thinking. That's my favorite words. My favorite combination of words, critical thinking. And there's people that conform with the consensus, what the majority believes, and they just run with that without critically thinking about, wait, what happened with Mike? They don't get into the details of the police shootings. They don't care about the details. They just assume automatically that the cops are evil. And that cop right there did not deserve that. None of these cops, that are not provoking, they don't deserve this shit. I can even say that, some of these bad cops that are out there, obviously, some of these guys have been damaged by their occupation. Police officers go through a lot, and that's not an excuse. I think that police officers. I had a brother, man. I spoke to this one dude. His name is Skeptical Mantis, man. If he sees, I don't know if he's gonna see this. I haven't seen him on my live in a while, but he used to come on my live and we would talk about this stuff because he's very anti-police. But I listened to him. I think he's a little crazy, but he's very informed about a lot of things, and he's very worried about police brutality and such things. And I can't fault him. It's like it's a righteous cause, but I think that it's being hyped up way too much, and it's causing a deterioration of trust in the community between the police departments and the citizens. And that's very important to have. You don't trust the police officers. That's not a good. That's not gonna. That society's not gonna function properly. It's gonna be chaos. And I see this going on, man. And the Democratic Party is throwing fuel on the fucking fire. That's why I keep bringing them up, because they're involved in this situation. You're gonna see the fucking DNC delegate. They called him an alternate delegate, which means I guess he can replace a DNC delegate at any time, but he's still part of that Democratic Party that was pushing the fact that they were pushing the lie that Mike Brown had his hands up and said don't shoot, which was a lie. Again, hands up, don't shoot was already, go look it up. Hands up, don't shoot. It was a lie. Even CNN put out an article about it, and they had to correct the wrong. Don Lemon was talking about it, and he was like, yeah, we went back and showed how that was not true. But the damage is done. The damage is already done. People don't believe now that you say, oh, well, it's actually not true. People are going to think that that's some type of a lie so that way the officer gets off. Like the news media is in conjunction with the police officer, with the police departments. They're not. The news media loves these stories. This is how they make money, clickbait and all of that stuff. And they're hyping up the beef between the black community and the police department, which has been there. It's been there, and it's been turbulent over the last. Since black people have been in this country, since there have been police departments. Of course, there's been a lot of corruption. There's been a lot of racial profiling and discrimination. We're talking about, over hundreds of years, police departments. I think the Boston Police Department was formed in the 1700s, 1760s to protect the harbor, the Boston Harbor. That's one of the first police departments that was created. And he said, that's fair. I don't think this. So DTX speaks in the comments, live comments, says, that's fair. I don't think that guy you described as toxic like these fake activists. Sounds like he has repressed memories from an isolated incident, but that's just a possibility. Yeah, man. I have incidents where I was brutalized. It wasn't like bad. I was pushed around by police officers one time for hopping the turnstile, right? I jumped the train turnstile. No, what am I talking about? Hopping the turnstile. I did that. Cops, they didn't fuck with me that time like that, but because I did get caught one time hopping the turnstile. No, I was on the train station, but I spit on the railroad tracks. That's what it was, and I was a little tipsy, and it was undercover cops arresting a drunk Mexican dude that was on a platform at Queensboro Plaza in New York City when I was 20 or 19. I think I was like 19 years old. So I was doing underage drinking and all of that. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. And it is a crime to spit. Like, you can't just be spitting. I didn't know that. I spit all the goddamn time. And I spit onto the railroad tracks in front of the cops, and they got mad. And then I started back talking. So I gotta take some blame. That doesn't mean you fucking push me around. But I was talking shit. But I didn't get physical. I didn't get violent. None of that. I actually even walked with them because they told me that they were going to arrest me. They were going to put me in the paddy wagon and take me to jail. That's what they said. So they took me down the stairs. They took me to where now the stairs go down to the streets. And they started pushing me down the stairs. And I wish there would have been a witness there or something. These undercover cops had no body cam. This was like 2003. And it was a black cop and a white cop. I still remember the badge number, 1497. I believe that was the white cop's badge number. I don't remember whose, but I remember I wrote that down when I got home, and I called, 911, and I wanted to report that. And then I got called later on, and they asked me if I still wanted to press charges, and I didn't pursue it. I didn't pursue it at all because I'm sure, I don't know if there was any cameras. It was a train station, but they, like I said, they walked me over down to the took me out the turnstile and everything, and now we're walking down the stairs. I go down to the street, and it was like nobody around. It was late, and they tried to push me down the stairs, and I had to jump a whole flight of stairs, man. And I could have really got hurt. If I didn't jump, I would have tripped because they pushed me. I had to jump. If I didn't jump, I would have damn fell down the stairs. It was crazy. But yeah, is it actually a crime to spit on the floor in NYC? I never heard of that. Yeah, I think my wife told me that. She was like, "You always be spitting," because I do always spit. Probably because of the smoking and shit. That's just the thing guys do too. They just be spitting. I see it all the time. But yeah, it's not a crime because a crime is like it's just like an offense or something, or what do they call it, citation type of thing. It's not a crime, like they can't take you to jail for that, but they probably give you a ticket. I don't know what's the legal term or how they word it, because I never heard of that either. I actually didn't know that it was a crime until I told this story to my wife years later, and I was already over 30 years old, man. And I'm like, damn, I just learned that now. I was like, what are you talking about? Because my argument was the damn all the trash that's already down there at the train tracks, and all I'm doing is spitting. I'm looking down, I see all types of stuff: garbage, empty bottles, trash, plastic bags, diapers, rats, all bunch of stuff. I'm like, I spit. I was like, wow, really? Like they really was looking for something. I got a ticket for jaywalking on live. I was on a live stream doing a walk and talk. They gave me a ticket for jaywalking, man. I was pissed off at them cops, but I did jaywalk, man. I was getting in the middle of a fucking. I was crossing in front of a car accident, is what it was, and they blocked off the street, and there's no sidewalk crossing out here in Florida. On like you gotta walk like miles sometime before you catch a light to cross. In that area, there's no lights for like 3 miles. It's just a 3 mile stretch where there's no traffic lights and there's no crosswalk. So you gotta jaywalk. But, some cops are assholes. Some cops are assholes, man. That position be getting to them. It's like a power trip. They do that sometimes. That's what happened on that platform in New York City. But it's an infraction. That's what it's called. Yeah, it's an infraction to walk. It's an infraction to walk on the railroad tracks, says DTX speaks. All right, so yeah, groupthink, man. That's what's going on with society right now. It's like as a group, people think it's the right thing to just be against cops and to fight for every citizen, which some citizens, they don't deserve that. All that praise, like they're a victim. So this is a video. I'm gonna slow this down actually. This is the actual body cam video that they just released of Officer Travis Scott being tackled by Elias, whatever his name was, Elijah. Let me slow it down because this happens real fast. And I want to show you the dumbass white woman that's trying to protect that crazy ass dude. So this is on my video on San Miguel TV radio. I just put a compilation up just for presentation purposes. Sometimes I've been doing that lately instead of sharing my screen because that'd be slowing everything down, man. So I don't know. I like it better like this, but I'm gonna go back to that sharing screen stuff. That's what I usually go on what's it called? StreamYard. But yeah, this is the body cam of Officer Travis Brown being hurt. I hope that they don't damn, censor my video or whatever, age restricted because of this. So I'm gonna just keep it a little bit far. Hopefully y'all can still see it. But yeah, here we go. That's the dude right there. That's Elijah, whatever the hell his name was. That's the dude that got arrested for almost like killing the cop, man. The cop has severe brain injury. So he's running towards Officer Travis Brown. That's him right there. And he's going to come at him like a linebacker. See? He knocks him over.
Cut that way. Cut that way. Cut
It's
that way.
fucked up, man.
Cut that way. Cut that way.
I slowed it down a little bit. That's another angle of it.
Move, move, move. Back
And then you hear the cops saying, "Move, move." He's telling this dumbass white woman to move that's trying to help the damn criminal. Get off of him. They're like, get the fuck, move. Look. All right, so this is a good angle right here. This is probably the best angle. So this, you see the dude is running from police. Let me see. Oh yeah, he's right here. This is the criminal. This is the damn idiot right here. And cops are gonna cut him off from both angles of this this car. You're gonna have a cop come from this way, and then Travis Brown's gonna stand right here and cut him off. And you can hear the cop saying, "Cut him off, cut him off." Watch. Oh, this has no sound actually, but
On Tuesday, Ferguson police released camera footage showing a protester knocking a black police officer to the ground on the 10th.
So this is Officer Travis Brown right here. And he's going to walk to the sidewalk where people are already running away. And this cat over here is Elijah, whatever, who tackles Officer Travis Brown, man.
Anniversary of Michael Brown's death, leaving the Missouri officer with a life-threatening brain injury.
And that's the officer on the ground, man.
Police
Right there.
Chief Troy Doyle said the footage shows that the suspect, 28-year-old Elijah Gant of East St. Louis, Illinois, had charged at Officer Travis Brown on a sidewalk outside the police station.
I slowed
after
it down.
Protesters attempted to pull down a perimeter fence.
Yeah.
Officer Brown was unconscious and prone on his back,
Officer
with
Brown.
the suspect lying on his chest as other officers quickly arrived and jumped on the
And
suspect.
this dumb white woman, she gets arrested.
St. Louis County.
She gets arrested right there. They kind of, I don't know why they cut that part off. I wonder if the cops pushed her and then they didn't want to show the edited version of it. I mean, the unedited version.
Prosecutor Wesley
Look
Bell
at this dumb
said
bitch.
Gant, who was all
This dumb bitch, right? This dumb white bitch is trying to get the cops off of the man that just hurt Officer Travis Brown, who's still on the ground there. And the cops don't even notice what just happened, except for this cop.
already charged with assault, faced a
And
new
he's barely
assault
moving,
charge
man.
For allegedly kicking another officer in the
Fucked
head.
up. And he kicked another. Oh, look at this bitch. She's like recording. She's doing that thing. Film the cop. She's a dumb ass bitch.
Two shocking new videos show a Ferguson police officer violently slammed to the ground during a protest marking 10 years since Michael Brown's death. The officer is Travis Brown. He's 36 years old. He's a father of 2 young girls.
Either she's trying to be a vigilante or she's another nosy bitch that doesn't know how to mind her business. Yeah, she was there with the protesters, man. You know, so she's gone mentally, yo. And it's like these white liberals be the worst ones too, because I think that they feel like that shame that they constantly put on white people. You know, like that's what's going on. It's like the Hebrew Israelites are constantly shaming white people, and some white people will literally get on their knees and lick the boots of black supremacists. This doesn't happen if you reverse the races. I've never seen no black man get on his knees and lick the boots of no white supremacists. Not even a Proud Boy, who is not even that. They're not even that extreme. Proud Boys are right. They're a little far right, but they're for the most part. I haven't seen any violence come from them, but they could be prone to it. I think. Because they don't fuck around, you know, and I'm not really mad at the Proud Boys like that. There's other groups like the Patriots, I forget what the names are, a bunch of crazy ass far right groups. The Heritage Foundation is very far right. They put out some stuff that I like that that you won't find in any other news media or whatever, or organization that's putting out like real information, like. You know, because I tend to agree with these right-leaning conservatives and Republicans on these social justice and racial issues. I tend to agree with them on those issues. But then when they start talking about other things, and they start talking about whatever, how God called, God is the one that sent Donald Trump and shit like that. I'll be like, oh, come on, man. Because they be saying that. And I'm like, all right, now this is where I draw the line with y'all. But that doesn't really that's not something crazy from I don't think that's dangerous. This right here and this mentality, what's going on, where cops have become the enemies, no matter who you are, they don't even know who you are just because, by dint of you being a cop, now you are the victim or the problem. You're the cop is the enemy. And this guy is a good father. He was a good father of two, man. Two little girls, man. Two little girls now have to sit by their father's hospital bedside, man. He's a good guy, man. He's a father, man. He's there. He's working. He's a working man, contributing to society in a great way, to his community. He joined the police department just this January of 2024. He became a police officer. And he wanted to become a police officer because what he saw going on in Ferguson. And he thought that he needed a change. So he became, how brave is that? You know how brave that is, man? Nobody wants to be a cop right now, let alone in Ferguson. So this guy right here, man, I had to do this video because it moved me. This shit shouldn't be happening. I don't think this is right. And this is something that's worth speaking out about.
He suffered a severe brain injury and is now fighting for his life.
He might live.
This video can be hard to watch. And in the CCTV footage, you can see Officer Brown as he is tackled to the ground, trying to cut off a group of scattering protesters. His body appearing to go limp
5%.
Immediately. This is video from Brown's body camera. It shows just how hard he was hit, going from upright to on his back in a split second.
Yeah.
Here's the Ferguson police chief. Watch.
Crazy.
It wasn't two people colliding. I mean, if you look at the video, the officer is standing there waiting to try to catch this guy. It wasn't a collision. He's standing there. This guy tackled my guy like he was a football player.
Yeah, man.
The violent demonstration came 10 days ahead of the Democratic National Convention. Now, among those arrested was this man, Keith Rose,
Check this
who
out.
was supposed to be an alternate delegate to the DNC.
He's part of the Democratic Party, and he was standing right there. You could see him standing next to Elijah Grant with the blowhorn and everything. They're protesting. Then they start shaking the fence in the police station. Police come out and try to get them away and try to disperse the crowd. They weren't doing that. They were letting them go that far. So it's like, how do you resolve this issue? You know what I mean? Because it's like they're mad about police interactions, but now you're causing police to interact with you because of what you're doing. It's like that's the opposite of what you want. Isn't this what you're complaining about? Is police getting hands-on? They're gonna get hands-on now if you start trying to destroy property. That's a crime.
The Missouri Democratic Party says he has since withdrawn voluntarily. But
Withdrawn.
the police chief called out those who have remained silent.
Yeah.
If you haven't condemned this act or condemned what happened to my officer, then you're part of the problem.
Yes.
Can you?
If you haven't condemned this act, then you're part of the problem. I love this police chief, man. I gotta get his name. And then he was interviewed today. This was just posted today, and he's given an update. He doesn't give much of an update on the officer, but the officer's still in the hospital, and he's still, we don't know. It's too early to tell what's going to happen with the officer, but I hope that this guy makes it without any problems, but I don't know. He has severe trauma to his brain, it's fucked up, man.
Give our audience any peek behind the curtain into a lot of people are wondering of praying for Officer Travis Brown. Can you tell us at all about his condition?
Yes, I've been up there just about every day. Planning on going up there again today. Travis is he's critical but stable right now. Everybody has their fingers crossed. We're keeping him in our prayers, just hoping that he comes out well.
Without getting too personal, are doctors giving any indication about what recovery looks like for him from this point?
No, it's kind of hard to tell right now. They say it's still too early for them to really give a detailed prognosis.
This is today. I just found this video and added it to this montage of videos about Officer Travis Brown and this incident with the rioting in Ferguson. And then I was like, let me add this. It's not much information, but at least it tells us that, that these cops, the police chief, he's all about his officers, man. He really cares. And I care, man. I think that this is wrong. And there's not enough love and care for this officer because of the hatred that's out there. And it's like, this is the reason why he's hurt. It's the ignorance, stupidity, hatred. Yeah, just ignorance and hatred, man. Ignorant of the details of what's really happening, and you just have this anger and hatred, and you just take it out on cops as if they're your enemy when they're not.
If that makes sense. But
New charges tonight that left Officer Brown fighting for his life. This man, Torrin Taylor, now charged for attempting to grab an officer's gun.
And this is somebody else that got arrested. That's that same day. This was last week, a week ago today, Friday, August 9th. There was just a big riot in Ferguson, Missouri because of Mike Brown, which happened 10 years ago. But this is a 10-year anniversary of Mike Brown, was on August 9th, 2014. And they're still up to the same stupid shit. Rioting, attacking cops, destroying property. Like, when are we going to stop doing this, man? Like, you still, like, how are people still in this mind state? Like, I seen it back in 2020. I was already seeing it before that. I forgot what happened just before George Floyd, but there was another dude that was a damn criminal. I forgot, man, and they were fucking. It was a few. It was like Freddie Gray in Baltimore was like 2016. It's like every 4 years or every 2 years. It's almost like every time there's an election, it seems that they make a big deal out of this stuff, and they kind of want to throw this into the politics that's going on, and they want to see what the presidential candidates have to say about this, and depending on what they say, they might vote for them. But they know, like, Trump is and the Republicans usually support cops. When cops do wrong, then they get exposed, and nobody's gonna support a bad cop. Not even the cops want to support a bad cop because they know that it gives them a bad name. But Torrin Taylor is another guy that he tried to grab a gun from an officer. There's a few more faces.
At night, First Alert 4 Chief Investigator Lauren Traeger breaking down what we know. Taylor, who lives in University City, is now behind bars in St. Louis County. He's accused of damaging property at Ferguson PD and for attempting to take an officer's service weapon. These documents were, until just this afternoon, under seal. Charging documents say Taylor grabbed onto an officer's service weapon and attempted to pull the gun out of the officer's holster.
He's trying to kill the
Lots
officer.
of video of the evening being released so far. Video of the incident has not. After his arrest, though, police say Taylor was inside an interview room at the department when he rammed his head into the wall twice, damaging it. Taylor is currently on probation for interfering and resisting arrest during protests in Florissant in 2020.
Of course.
Meanwhile, Elijah Gant is charged with the actual assault on Officer Travis
This
Brown.
motherfucker
Police say
right here.
Gant ran into Brown without stopping or attempting to change
Dumb
direction.
motherfucker. Black Lives Matter, except, there's always a stipulation.
Brown fell and his head hit the ground. He is severely injured. In all, 7 people are now charged for their parts in the events in Ferguson, including
Let's bring that back.
attempting to change direction. Brown fell and his head hit the ground. He is severely injured. In all, 7 people.
These are 7. Well, they only show 1, 2. Well, these are 7, but I guess one guy they don't show. I don't know if that's, but you got the Democratic dude right there. You got this cat that looks like a pastor. He got arrested. And this is a dumb woman that was trying to interfere with the arrest of freaking Elijah Grant, who was the one that tackled Travis Brown. That was the lady that was standing around trying to get involved in that altercation after the cop was on the floor, unconscious. These are the idiots, the faces of fools right here that want to protest and riot. They want to riot. They want to get violent against cops because of a violent thug by the name of Mike Brown that was killed by Darren Wilson in self-defense 10 years ago, man. It came out that all that was bullshit with Mike Brown. Nobody cares, so. DTX Speaks says, even people who don't trust cops shouldn't have a defense for these assholes. Yeah, man. It's like, there's it's just like a natural thing in the hood and shit, like just to not trust cops. Black people don't be calling 911 either. That they don't even want to have cops involved with shit because they be like, they're just gonna come and arrest us. Like they're gonna find a way to arrest us and shit. That's what they be thinking, and sometimes that does happen. um, because they know that there's something they might get caught with. I think that's the main reason. But then there's also just a lack of trust. So they don't even call 911. And there don't be no witnesses wanting to speak out sometimes to help the cops. In the very hood that they live in where there's a murderer. It's crazy. Either they're scared of the murderer, or I've heard one dude in Philly tell a cop like, "Oh, I don't want to put another black man in jail. That's another black. That's a father. That's a possible father or a son or brother. Somebody's son or brother. So I'm not gonna help the cops with their investigation because then that's gonna mean that another black man's gonna get locked up, even though the man could be a criminal. Man, I heard this one dude say that. I put that video out. I put that little snippet out in a video. I forget which one it was, but insanity. DTX speaks in the comment, the live comment says, that woman looks like a typical white Karen that gives you a hard time at work. Yo, man. She's the worst type, man. She's the worst type because she's gonna protect criminals, with her Karenicity. This guy's shirt says protesting. This idiot has a shirt that says protesting. Yeah, you should have been protesting, not rioting. That's a Democratic Party candidate. That's a delegate for the Democratic Convention, which is going to happen in a week. I think right in the same city. I think they said there's some type of convention happening. This guy's all involved with that, but he's want to go out with rioters. You're supposed to be the voice of reason. Yeah, man. They should have arrested more people. These this guy's a pastor. What is he doing with the white collar?
Are now charged for their parts in the events in Ferguson, including shaking and breaking the fence, something County Executive Sam Page today condemned.
We won't accept violence, and a situation like this is really unacceptable.
Yeah, and so this is what they're rioting for. This is 10 years ago. This was on August 9th of 2014. This is the convenience store surveillance. The day just before Mike Brown was shot by Darren Wilson, he did this right here. He stole a box of cigars from this convenience store, and it's all on camera, and you can see him pretty much assaulting a 60-year-old man, the owner of the store.
Let's stop it there and then just rewind it just a tad back.
That's Mike Brown right there. Look how huge he is, man. He's huge. He's pretty fucking big. He's intimidating that guy, after he just stole a whole box of cigars from the store. He just walks right out, and the guy's trying to stop him, and look, he just pushes him right out the way. That's assault, man. You don't do that. That's robbery. First of all, you stealing, petty theft, and assault. Now you just brought it up to a felony.
But he didn't.
And this is Darren Wilson who shot Mike Brown, and he's saying that he didn't stop.
He stopped, he turned and faced me. And the stutter step that you sometimes see, like when people start to run and they kind of did the hop and then go, he does that, and as he does that, his right hand immediately goes into his waistband, and his left hand is a fist at his side, and he starts charging me.
What did you think when you saw that?
I didn't know. I mean, my initial thought was, is there a weapon in there? Is there a knife? Is there a...
This guy comes off as very sincere. The problem is there's no body cam of the incident, but there are witnesses. There's witnesses that are saying there's contradicting stories from witnesses. And if you know anything about eyewitness accounts or evidence, eyewitness accounts, as far as evidence, is not good evidence. Even in the Bible, there's a story of Susanna, the history of Susanna with the 3 elders that accused her of committing adultery. And they were lying. They were trying to sleep with her, and they made up a whole story. So you got 3 false testimonies, false eyewitnesses lying about Susanna. And I think Daniel separated them three and asked them all questions. And he got three different stories, something like that. It was a dope little story in the Apocrypha, if you know about the history of Susanna. That's a good story to show you that eyewitness testimony is not reliable. That's the only reason why I'm bringing that up, you know? I fucks with the Bible on certain occasions, but, not always. Some things I can't vouch for, but there's some good things in there, and it just serves as good examples. Darren Wilson, his name, he's fucked. I don't know if he's in hiding now. He probably had to change his whole name and relocate, and everybody knows how he looks. He did this interview, but he was charged, but he beat the charges, so people already knew who he was. He just wanted to do this interview to explain his side of the story. But people don't give a damn what he has to say. They're gonna automatically assume that he's lying, but the ballistics, which is a science that shows you how bullets travel and the directions and all of that. It's a science behind that, and they could actually tell a lot from ballistics, and it showed that Mike Brown was in attack mode with his hands towards the gun. That like how you reaching towards the gun, that's the only way your hand could get shot. And through his hand, Mike Brown's hand, went the bullet. Came out, went in and out of his hand, and then hit him in the shoulder. And if it wasn't for ballistics, I mean, even without ballistics, you could probably still tell that he couldn't have had his hands up and been wanted and want. Why would a cop just shoot this guy too? You think a cop is just gonna risk his job and his life and just shoot somebody for no reason that has their hands up when there's witnesses and people around? That whole story just sounds like straight bullshit. I don't buy that whole Mike Brown was trying to, fucking comply. Look at how the rioters be acting. They don't comply. They're constantly resisting. Look at how Mike Brown was acting in the store. He was acting like the type of dude that would not comply. That's the type of dude that will not comply with police officers and get his own ass in trouble and then cry racism later. That shit gotta stop. That's the reason why I did this video. I'm gonna end it on that note because it's 11:42. I had to restart this video. I had to restart my live because the live that I started at 9:30, I actually started on time. It got messed up and I had to restart it. So this is the official video. I'll delete that other video anyways. There's not much said in there. I went for like 20 minutes and then it messed up on me. But I appreciate you, DTX Speaks, man. I've been seeing you in the comment section recently. I've been seeing you in the comment section for years since I started this channel way back with Tazadaki and all of that. So I think you know about that stuff. I think you were in the ICGJC too. I'm not sure. But yeah, this has been the story of Officer Travis Brown. I'm gonna give y'all an update on that. Hopefully this man survives, and I hope the injuries are not life threatening. I hope it's not no long-term life changing type of injuries, but I think at this point the way that they're talking, it seems like it's very serious, and this is all in the name of social justice. This movement that it sounds like it's good at first glance, and people run with it because it's like, it sounds like a righteous movement. Oh, we're fighting for victims of police shooting. It sounds good at first, but if you don't get the details of why police shot, these people believe police have no reason to ever shoot. That's the problem. And I can't make that argument, man. I can argue for many times when it's justifiable to shoot in defense of your life or others' lives, and that's where we're at with this story, man. I think all this shit needs to be condemned, and we need to call this shit out for what it is, man. This needs to stop. They're gonna do this for Sonia Massey. I don't know if Sonia Massey's killer is going to be convicted. I'm afraid that I don't think so, and I don't not. It's not that I don't want that. That's not what I want to happen. I want justice to happen. I want the truth to get out, regardless of how it might sound. And legally, it seems like Grayson did have a right to shoot because of the boiling pot of water. He's going to use that as an excuse of something that can cause serious bodily injury or bodily harm and possibly death. Even if it doesn't, might not cause death, serious bodily injury is still enough for cops to shoot their weapons and neutralize the threat, as they say. And I'll keep up with that too, because I did a video on that, but it got age restricted and it's not getting any views, and I know why. Because I show the actual video. I haven't seen many people show the actual video of Sonia Massey throwing the pot. They show the other officer's body cam where you don't get that angle. You can't even see what she's doing. And then just a few days ago, they charged the officer that shot Takia Young, I believe her name is. She was the pregnant woman that was shot by a police officer when she was trying to start her car, and she actually hit the officer because the officer was in front of the car, and she was stealing liquor from a liquor store, and the cops were already in the plaza, and she tried to flee from police officers by driving away, but there was a cop in front of the car, and now the cop can say that she was using the car as a weapon, and I had to discharge my firearm, which is another situation where it's like, maybe he didn't have to do that, but legally he might have the right and he might get off. But they finally charged him after almost a year, because it's coming up on a year on August 28th when Takia Young was shot by a police officer in, man, was that Ohio? I forget what police department that was or what city it took place, but there's a lot of these stories, man. There's a lot of altercations between cops where people don't want to comply, and then they get into a situation where they're trying to flee with a vehicle while cops are in front of the vehicle. It's like, I don't think people understand that you can use that a car is a weapon, man. You can use your car as a weapon to hurt somebody. You see that with, what's his name? Donnell Cole? Who's that? What's the dude in Waukesha, Wisconsin, that ran over a bunch of parade goers with his vehicle? I mean, there's many times where cops have shot into vehicles that were charging at them because the driver's coming at them, and that's attempted murder. So I think that's another case that people might riot for. He just got charged 3 days ago, so they're gonna decide very soon whether he's guilty or not. Darrell Brooks, yeah, thank you. I said Donald. I was thinking about Donald Jones. Darrell Brooks Jr. Yeah, it's a cruel, cruel summer. It's gonna be another cruel summer. 4 years later. Let's see how long. Well, they already charged Sean Grayson with Sonia Massey, and I feel bad about that situation because she wasn't in her right mind. But that doesn't mean that she can't cause harm. If anything, that means that she's even more dangerous. But it's just, I don't know that needed to happen, man. Sean Grayson doesn't really have my support like that. I'm just looking at the details of the case. And, he should be fired. He should never have been a cop. All that stuff, man, I agree with all of that. They should never went in the house. He should have never drew his gun at the moment where he drew his gun initially. But because of the pot of boiling water being thrown, I'm telling you right now, man, legally, they're going to say that is grounds for a response, a deadly response. And I'm scared. I'm scared for what might happen, man. But I'm just here to just give more information on these stories, man, to my little audience, so we could all be on the same page, man, and just kind of understand, and I know people probably wondering, like, yo, why you always for the cops? You always for the... It's not that I'm for the cops, it's that the legal system kind of supports the cops because they're cops, and they give them the right to shoot, like they gave them the right to shoot Tamir Rice. Even though he had a toy gun, the cops didn't know that he had a toy gun. They thought it was a real gun because it looked very real. If you've seen the gun, it's a replica. It's almost like, shot for shot, like just exactly a gun. Like you can mistake it. And it's sad because it wasn't a real gun, but police officers didn't know that. So that's why the law covers them if they make that decision unaware that it wasn't a real gun or whatever. The law covers them, so it's like they always get off. And all I'm saying is that I know what the legal system says. I know what the law says. It covers peace officers in these situations. Every state is different, but for the most part, this is like a nationwide thing. It's Coleman versus Grant, I believe, was the original case that they used to support the police officers shooting citizens in self-defense. The laws is on their side, man. It's an uphill battle. It's an uphill battle for the victims of these shootings, and it seems like cops always have the advantage because they do, and they're going to be the defense too. So it's always harder for the prosecution because they're the ones that bear the burden of proof. So we got to know all of that stuff, man. And I'm trying to be as reasonable as possible, and empathetic too. But for certain situations, you can see I'm cold. I have no empathy, especially with something like this is happening that goes back 10 years to a false flag, or not a false flag, but a hoax, a fake narrative, rather, let's say, of a white cop that shot a black kid because of racism. That's the false narrative. That's not what happened with Mike Brown. So we got to clear that up. I want to do more videos like this. This is very touchy subjects, but this is the subjects I like to talk about, man. This is the most interesting subjects because you're always gonna find somebody that's gonna be on the opposite side, and it's gonna be an interesting conversation because you're gonna have two people that don't agree with each other. And I'm always willing to hear somebody else's side, but I try to be very informed on these cases and know every little detail. That's why you hear me talk about these cops. I've been knowing the victims' names, I've been knowing the cops' names, but I also know victims like Richard Lee Richards, who was the white guy that was shot by cops. It was Antoinette Tuttle, I think. I forgot these in the Pecan Park raid in Houston. It was a botched raid where a officer created a false warrant and all of that. He created a warrant over false information. Broke into a house, killed a man, a woman, and their dog. And the officer was black, and the victims were white. And they didn't get justice for 3 years. It took, but nobody be knowing about that stuff. It doesn't go national. Antonio Arce, a Hispanic kid that was shot by cops, and he had a fake gun, and the cops shot him, thinking it was real. A lot of people don't know about Antonio Arce, and he's Hispanic, but he was shot by a Hispanic cop. This is in like New Mexico or something, or Arizona. And I know about these stories, man. I do care about this stuff, man. I care about the truth. I want people to know the truth too. I don't want people to be misled. Just like I don't want people to be misled about the Hebrew Israelite doctrine and some of this racist stuff. I don't want people to get caught up in that like I did. I see even a bigger problem here with this woke stuff that's going on, all this protesting and this social justice movement it's just going too far. Like, these movements are necessary, but it's like we got to have some type of balance, checks and balances. And that's why I do this, man. I'm doing the best I can. Tamir Rice is an example of why parents need to tell their kids to not play with toy guns in public, especially if they look real. Yeah, and Tamir Rice's mom is very vocal, but she got the most money out of any victim of a police shooting ever was Tamir Rice's mom. I have videos of her saying some crazy shit, man. She's not smart, man. She's not a smart woman. And I think that's part of the reason why Tamir Rice, who was 12, I mean, I have a 14-year-old son, and I don't want him to be out there alone in the street. I'm always watching them. You know, I don't let my kids just be out there on their own in the streets, especially with a toy gun that looks very real. Yeah, man, she's part to blame. You gotta be, I'm being real. And I know people are like, how can you be? She lost her son. Man, I think she's part of the reason why her son is gone. You got to share the blame. The police officers had no clue whether that gun was real or not, regardless of the age of the person. I've seen 11-year-olds. Was Little Yummy was an 11-year-old with bodies, man. He had bodies at 11 years old, man. He was killing people since he was like 9. Little Yummy from Chicago. There's little kids out here that would shoot, man. Shooters. That don't mean nothing how old you are. But they turned that into a whole racist thing and all of that. What was the other name? You said Vanessa Guillen, a Hispanic woman killed by her colleagues. Vanessa Guillen, a Hispanic woman killed by her colleagues and barely got any attention or justice. Was she a military woman? Jacob Blake's father was the worst. Yeah, and his uncle too. I can understand a parent's grief and anger, but he was acting like his son wasn't a sex offender or an abusive boyfriend. And his baby mom's was the one that called the cops, and he had a warrant, and they tased him. And LeBron James says that black people are terrified of police. I remember that day. That was that's what sparked the whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing. It was right after Jacob Blake in Kenosha, which is not far from Waukesha. Where Darryl what was his name? Darryl Brooks did that. That's a whole mess, man. Wisconsin is a weird state. Yeah, Vanessa Guillen, the military. Yeah. I remember that. All right, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta go. I'm tired. I'm not feeling 100% either, but I wanted to do this live, man. It's important to me. You know what I mean? But thanks for coming through. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video. Share it or comment on it and all of that. I appreciate all that stuff. Have a good night, sir, ma'am, ladies, gentlemen, everybody, whoever's on. I see some people were in and out. Some people came in. We only had one person comment, which is all good. These type of videos don't get suggested as much. They're not. People don't take it as important. But I'm glad you came through, brother. I'm pretty sure you're a brother. And catch me on the next one. I'll probably do something tomorrow. All right, so look out for that, y'all. Have a good night.